Welcome to our Ultimatch review, a hot new cooperative card game that people call the best game of Gamma Expo 2024.
Ultimatch was designed by Anne-Marie and Justin DeWitt and is being published by Fireside Games. And we have to thank Fireside for hooking us up with a pre-release review copy.
Ultimatch is a 1 to 5 player cooperative card game with a lot of similarities to Pyramid Solitaire. It plays in about 20 minutes and will work with gamers of almost any age as long as they know their basic colors and can add and subtract.
The goal in Ultimatch is for the players to work together to clear the pyramid using cards in their hand and a shared tableau. Match colors or numbers with a single card of play, or play a pair that sums to the right total or creates the right color. Winning will require you to trade with other players, strategically pass, and increase your options by forming an Ultimatch, a pair of cards that match both the number and color of a card in the pyramid.
Now, there's really not a lot to Ultimatch. It's a single deck of very clear and colorful cards. They come in 6 colors, the primary and secondary colors, and each color has one each of cards numbered 1 through 8. It comes in a small box with a clear set of instructions. There's also some reference cards, which are great for your first couple of plays.
Okay, that box is my first complaint with this game. It is larger than it needs to be, and aside from that whole thing about companies shipping empty airspace, which is kind of a pet peeve of mine, it doesn't work to hold the game once it's open. Like it's a large flat rectangle, kind of like an Uno size box, and then it has this floppy cardboard insert inside it that's sized down to the deck, and it flops down and cards slide inside it, and like this would have been better off if they put it in a playing card style box or like those classic Magic deck boxes back in the day, right? Though I realize like they want it bigger so that it'll catch people's attention on store shelves, but
well, you start the game of Ultimatch by building a pyramid. This has 5 rows if playing with 3 or less players, 6 rows if playing with 4 or 5. Either way, only the bottom row of cards is face up. You then deal each player a hand of cards where the count is based on the number of players.
From this hand, each player contributes 1 card face down to the Ulta hand, a tableau of cards everyone can use throughout the game as if they were in their hands. Once everyone has contributed, you flip up the cards, and the player who contributed the highest card gets the first play.
On your turn, you must play a match if you can. If you cannot, you can pass and draw a card. The game ends, and all players lose if everyone passes one after each other.
To make a match, a player can play a single card that matches the color or number of a face-up card in the pyramid. Both cards are discarded, and no longer buried cards in the pyramid are revealed. If the final card in the pyramid is matched, the players win.
Now, instead of a single card, players can also play a pair, but no more than a pair. Here you can use addition or subtraction to make a number match, or you can mix colors. For example, play a red and a blue card to match a purple card. In either case, both cards are discarded along with the card from the pyramid, and new cards are revealed, just like Sean mentioned.
If you can play 2 cards that match both the color and the number, then you just made an Ultimatch. So, like using Mo's example, if you have a red card that's a 2 and a blue card that's a 3, and the pyramid card you're trying to match is a purple 5, that would be a perfect match, the Ultimatch. And when you get an Ultimatch, you get to draw 2 cards, you choose which one to keep, and the other one gets added to the Ulti hand.
And that's it for the basic rules. Play continues until all players have to pass, in which case they lose, or someone matches the final card.
Now, if your group finds this too easy, there are 2 ways to up the difficulty. First is that a random Ulta hand card is removed at the start of the game. And the second is that when you make an Ultimatch, you have to keep both the cards instead of one being added to the Ulta hand.
And I'm thinking you could combine both of these options, though that's not actually mentioned in the rulebook.
There's a little bit more to it, especially with the passing rules and the Ulta hand. But that should give you an idea if this game sounds right for you.
Now, Deanna and I got to try Ultimatch at Gamma Expo, where we attended as hosted media. Now, during the wrap-up board game night, our friends from the Everyday Board Game podcast invited us to play with them. Danny, the designer of matches, in particular, really wanted to play again as they tried the game the night before and lost, but they were really close.
The game had already caught my eye, like out on the expo floor. It reminded me of playing Pyramid as a kid, right? And there was also this wacky co-op solitaire game my mom and I used to play when I was a teenager. I have no clue what it was called. I have long since forgotten the rules to it, but this reminded me of that. So there's, I don't know, a strong nostalgia pull for me.
And I mean, anyone who plays, solitaire on the computer or, on the PC has played enough Pyramid Solitaire more than likely to have at least a little bit of a connection with this style of game.
Yeah, and honestly, it's not often Deanna enjoys a cooperative game. So that drew me to wanting to check this one out and dive deeper. Plus, there was a quick teach. It's really not hard to teach. High player interaction, like, man, you're talking to each other, even though there's limited communication. You may be talking non-verbally. The intensity of the game and the energy levels we saw from everyone playing this made me think it'd be a perfect fit for us. Not as much for our family, but you know what, for our local public play events, like seeing a group, cheer and high five at the end of the game is the kind of thing that's going to draw other people in. So I thought it was awesome that Fireside was willing to mail us a copy, especially before it came out. So being able to talk about the new hotness is something kind of new to us.
Yeah, that first game that we played at Gamma Expo, I really enjoyed it. We were playing with the folks from Everyday Board Game, and it was a high energy, fun game, and folks were high-fiving and calling out Ultimatch, and I was sold. I literally begged Mo to please take a review copy home.
And that's not something you normally see from a, quote unquote basic card game that is also cooperative from D.
I figured with the nostalgia hook that this was going to be a game that my mother would really enjoy, and I was super looking forward to playing it with her. I even made a point of bringing it over to her place on Mother's Day, thinking it would make for a great afternoon.
I gotta say, like, your mom did seem to enjoy it at first, but we played a bunch of games in a row. We kept winning. And honestly, this seems to be the problem with Ultimatch. It just seems like it might be too easy. At least for us, like people who have played lots of games and lots of cooperative games and lots of games together and solved lots of escape rooms and puzzles. We've now played Ultimatch 8 times in a row without a loss. After the first 5, we started trying the higher difficulty levels. And yes, they made a difference. It was tighter and more intense. We haven't lost.
Yeah, I went from excited about this game to meh really quickly. Like a co-op game needs to be difficult. I want to lose like 30 to 40% of the time. I want to feel challenged. Like, phew, we just made it. Or, oh, we almost made it. And I think that, darn it, we almost made it is more likely to sell me on a co-op game than anything else. That let's just have one more try. That aspect is totally lacking here.
Yeah, one of the things we talked about in the Art Project recent review is that sort of feeling, right? Even when we won and we were getting better at the Art Project, and we found that sweet spot at 3-player, it was still so very close. Even you knew that if you had made one wrong move somewhere, there was no way you were going home with it. You just happened to, get the right draw and play the right cards, and you won. But it wasn't at all a sure thing that you were going to win. And that seems to be a little bit lacking in this game.
Yeah, I don't know. It does seem that way, though. Like I said, when you get that we almost won, right? That's why we played this with the Everyday Board Games crew. As Danny came up, was like, we lost last night. We got it. We need to redeem ourselves, right? And that's what I love in a co-op, right? That you almost won. Like, you're so close, and you're one turn away or one card away or just one player, especially if you know your mistake, like, oh, I shouldn't have done this. Makes you want to play it again. And while 8 times in a row winning doesn't really give us that feel. And I'm not sure. Like, I wonder if it's supposed to be this easy, right? Like, this game is being marketed to Uno fans, right? This is a game that's on the, you find at Shoppers Drug Mart sitting next to Monopoly Duel and Skip-Bo. This is a mass market card game for casual gamers. And I think that might be why they went with this difficulty. And I've got to say, like, throwing this in with younger kids or throwing it in with a group that's used to playing Uno, they're not going to make the connections right away, right? They're not going to realize how critical it can be to try to void your hand so you pass so you get more cards, right? Like, that's a level of next level play that I think a casual gamer is not going to get right away. But I want the odds to be more against me. And I think other people, especially in our listening audience, right? Like the demographic for the people who listen to us, who tend to be, gamers who know things and people who buy games and teach games. I think this one's going to be a little too easy.
Yeah, I want to address something that Charlie Brown Windsor is saying in the chat right now. If you're not losing, usually you're doing something wrong. And I have to say, Mo and I immediately thought we must be playing this game extreme. We both pored over the rule book with a fine-tooth comb, trying to figure out what we might have possibly done wrong, and we could not find anything, which is weird because normally the first play of every game is extreme, right? But we if we're doing something wrong, we have yet to figure it out.
Yeah, and I went on Board Game Geek threads. I looked up FAQs. I was trying to figure out, because I said it just felt too easy. And because of that, the game's okay. Like I wanted more from it. My daughter does dig it. I would say your mom enjoyed it and would want to play again. I think she was more frustrated that we weren't enjoying it because we're like, come on, how do we lose? How do we make it more difficult? What can we do? We played 5 times in a row trying to lose, right? And at this point, at this difficulty level, I could kind of take it or leave it. Now, that said, I still think that with the right group of players, the casual game, well, our board game events currently are being held at bars with the right amount of drinks. I think this could be a hit. And that's what I need to do next, is try it at those public play events.
It is not a bad game. It's an okay game. Like, my biggest feeling here is just disappointment because I was fully expecting to love this one and I don't.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I think it may just be the wrong market because it's going to be really interesting to see what happens when this game does release, because it is still pre-release. So we don't have the Board Game Geek reviews other than a few people like us who played it, the pre-release stuff, or played it at a con to go on. But it does seem like this is probably something that you're going to see the Uno crowd, the Skip-Bo crowd love, and the gamers kind of rebel against and possibly push it down in the rankings, or maybe just, hopefully not push it down in the rankings, but give it a low difficulty weight.
Yeah. And honestly, that's it. I think this is I don't want to bash it too much because I think this is a great game for that crowd, that Uno, Phase 10, Skip-Bo, traditional card games you find at Walmart, Target, wherever, right? I think it's a perfect game for that. Like, my youngest daughter, I think, would adore this game because she plays Uno every day at school. That's one of the things the kids in her school play, and I think they would love this. And one of the things that really sets us apart from those mass market games is cooperative. How many cooperative card games are out there, right? That's where I think this is going to be new and interesting for fans of those classic light card games.
And I do think if our kids were a bit younger, that this would be a great family game for reinforcing basic math skills and color addition. And it wouldn't be awful to be playing as a parent, right? Like, it's an okay game. So
I got to say, if you're looking for a quick playing cooperative game, like if you're trying to do, we did an entire episode. I'll try to put a link in the show notes about games you can play like on your work break, right? I think it'd be good for that, or lunchtime, or, a starter when you're waiting for players to show up. I think it can be a great choice. But if you're looking for like a difficult cooperative game that's unforgiving and requires everyone to really work together, you might be disappointed in Ultimac.
I think it's super easy to teach, and it's going to be a fun, approachable game for our public play nights where folks are unlikely to play it long enough or enough times in a row to realize that the carnival game is rigged, but in the player's favor. Yeah,
I think that's probably where it's going to shine for our needs. Even though, again, with those family style games, I almost see it, a lot of these games where you see the Monopoly Go and on the spinner rack in the stores.
And that's it for our review, our Alti review of Ultimatch. It's not often we talk about the new hotness. I hope this helped you make a decision on whether or not this new cooperative card game is right for you and your game group.
Now, we love playing games like Ultimatch together over a cup of joe. Help keep us caffeinated and motivated by buying us a coffee at ko-fi.com/tabletopbellhop.